Okay, welcome back. This is Z Worstel, again, Good Girls Finish Last Radio, and we are with a special guest today. Her name is Jasmine Watts. She is a young woman that I got connected to through Twitter again. I seem to meet lots of people on Twitter, and she contacted me because she has a very interesting magazine that she started to help young women such as herself, Gen Y women who are looking to figure out more about what they want to do and how to have a career that's successful. Now, Jasmine was not always writing a magazine. She started her career with the dream of getting involved in the world of fashion, and she has a degree from the Fashion Institute of Technology. And while that was always her expertise, the fashion world, she has always had a passion for writing and has contributed content to websites such as Yahoo, Examiner, AOL, and associated content, but it wasn't until she took a risk when she was having some trouble finding a position that was her dream position, and she started her own business. She didn't do it alone, though. She had some assistance from her friends and family, but she started a magazine called Miss Millennia Magazine, and that allowed her to continue not only her love affair with writing, but it gave her some other skills that she didn't have before, and it enabled her to land her dream job. She is currently managing the social media and online content for a major corporation in San Antonio, Texas, and unless she had taken the risk of starting her own business and starting her magazine, she probably would have never gotten that job. So, Jasmine, welcome. I'm so excited that you're joining me today to talk a little bit about taking risks as a woman and stepping outside of your comfort zone and the rewards that go with that. So how are you today?
Great. And thanks for having me on your show. I always follow along with your blog, and I am really excited to be here tonight, so thank you.
Well, you're welcome. We're glad to have you. And, you know, I was talking about this risk that you took, and I want to really start there because I think women kind of in general are a little hesitant to take risks because we've never really been, I don't know about it's trained, but we've never felt comfortable with that whole stepping outside of our comfort zone because it's not something that many of us do very often. So I wanted to find out how you got up the courage to really take a risk and start your magazine.
Well, I feel like my risk that I took to start my magazine kind of got started as by default, I want to say. When I couldn't find a job, I was like heartbroken. But I realized that a lot of my peers, they had the same trouble, and unlike the rest of them, I found a way to make money, and I did that by freelance writing. And by doing that, it opened my eyes to a whole new world that you don't necessarily have to get hired at a job to make an income. So with that same mantra in my mind, I figured, there are some other ways I'm sure that I could generate income and do things on my own. And that's where we got the idea to start Miss Millennia Magazine.
Excellent. And how did people respond to you when you said, I'm going to start this magazine, I'm going to do something that I've never done before? Did you get different responses from your friends and family and the other people that heard about it?
Oh, yes, very much so. I want to say it was a 50-50 response. Most of my friends, they responded. They didn't know how it was possible to make money online. So they thought it was a little crazy to try to start a business online with really no real money I'm putting down, and it just didn't make any sense to a lot of people around me. And then the other half, there's the other half of people who know me very well and know that I always think outside the box. It's very difficult for me to walk a straight line like everyone else. I like to do things a little differently, and they didn't understand the whole concept of making money through a blog or a website, but they know that how I am and how I'm very determined, and I get what I want because I work hard for it. So I had a lot of people who believed in me, even if they didn't understand exactly how it was supposed to work.
Right. Well, that must have been helpful because I know when I started my business, well, both companies that I started, I got the same response. Most people were like, how can you do that? That's not going to work. And I think it's more of their issue because they're afraid to take a risk, and a lot of people just need it kind of spelled out for them. But there are those women out there who are certainly willing to say, well, I'm going to figure it out as I go along, and that's kind of what happened for you, correct? You figured it out as you went along, and so tell us what happened with your magazine.
Well, it seemed pretty easy when I thought of the concept. We thought of the concept together, my best friend and I. We thought it would be a great idea. We knew so many people who would benefit from such a website, a place where Generation Y women could go to get information about finding a job and letting them know that this is a generational thing. It's not just you. And we had the concept down. We got some great ideas. We set up the website. We learned a lot about coding and just getting all the different platforms together for that. But the details of owning a business is what became a little difficult when it came to business plans and going through the Secretary of the State to register your business and the IRS. Those steps is what was a little more difficult. But it wasn't the most difficult thing. It was fairly simple to do. It's just a matter of knowing what to do, which steps to take next.
Right, and I think that is key, is when you have a big task like that in front of you, whether it's in your career and someone gives you this big project that you have to work on and you don't know what to do first, or it's just setting goals to get a business off the ground or setting goals to accomplish anything you want, the best thing to do is to break it down into small steps because it seems much more daunting when it's, oh my gosh, look at all of the stuff we have to do. We're never going to get that done. As opposed to breaking it down, well, if we do this first and we go to this state and get our business license, and then the next thing we would need to do would be this. And breaking it down like that certainly makes it much more doable.
Exactly.
So is that what you got as well? Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like the most difficult part when it comes to anything big that you want to do is just taking that first step. So as soon as you take that first step, everything else I feel will come. It'll come eventually. It will.
Sure. And we're not saying it's going to come always super easy, and it's not always going to just happen immediately because you take the first step, but if you don't take that first step, you really get nowhere quickly because you have to take one step, then take another step, then take another step, and I don't think this is just solely a women's issue. I think this is more just anybody in general. If you want something to happen in your life, you really need to take the first step and then keep taking the steps. They may not always be going in a straight line, but you're making forward progress. You might have to make a side trip here or there, but if you keep stepping forward, you'll get somewhere. So you did that. You now have this magazine, and why don't you tell folks how they can find your magazine and sign up for your magazine while we're talking about it.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, you can find my magazine just by going to MissMillMag.com, and that's MissMillMag.com. We have a new theme every month. This month is our finance edition, and we also have a new cover girl every month. Rena Young is ours. She's a financial, she has a financial firm that she works for, and she's very knowledgeable in the whole aspect of money and investing and insurance, and it's always something.
There is, and I've actually read this month's issue because I got it, I think, last week in my inbox and found it very informative. So, and I am not, for those of you that don't know me, I am not a Gen Y. I'm very far from that. It still was meaningful to me, so I think there's a lot of really good content on there. And so, once again, you need to just go to MissMillMag.com and sign up so that you, too, can get your subscription. And I think, and I don't know, I've been promised, because this is my dream, is to be the cover girl. So I think one of these days I will actually be the cover girl. So
we having a pager every month, so
that's right. So one day my dream will come true, and I will be a cover girl. I can add that to my resume. So back to being serious, you started this magazine and you learned a lot, and then how did that pay off for you in this great job that you've gotten?
Well, it really opened a lot of doors just because I learned so much with it. I learned about a completely new world. A lot of people, when I first started is when I discovered your website, actually, and a lot of other women who had very similar websites to what we had. And just opened my eyes, like, there's a lot of jobs out here in this field. And I really tapped into social media just because it's a great way to connect and network with people. So I was meeting very interesting people, and people were responding back, and it was a great way to get the word out about the magazine. And then I applied to be a social media person for different jobs, and it first of all blew my mind at how many positions there were to be a social media analyst. It's just a whole new market of positions that I didn't know existed. And even now, when I tell my friends, they ask me where I work and what I do, I tell them I'm a social media analyst, and get that same response like, what exactly is a social media analyst? How did you get that job? Did you go to school for that? And it's just
right. And you didn't. You just self-taught. You know, and
exactly.
For those of you ladies out there who spend lots of time on Twitter and Facebook, this might be the perfect job for you. So figure a little bit more out, and you too can start applying for jobs as a social media coordinator. Maybe.
Definitely.
I mean, you still have to have some knowledge. Like, you did learn quite a bit from your magazine that probably the average Facebook user doesn't know. And the only reason I know that is because I've worked with social media managers and researchers, and I know that there's a lot of background information that goes into that, but it's not impossible to learn. So
no,
you took it on yourself and learned it, and now you have this great new career that is not probably where you thought it was going, but I have to ask, do you love your career? Do you love what you're doing?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, very much so.
Yeah, and so that makes all the difference in the world, is that you have a career that you may have fallen into by accident, but you now have something that you really love. And I think that's the other thing that we get so pigeonholed into. I went to college to be this, so I have to be that forever, and at some point it may not serve us, or it may not be what we really want to do, and we hesitate to step outside our comfort zone and say, okay, I'll try something different. So I applaud you for that. And I'm so excited that you were able to share your story with us. Hopefully the women who are listening or men who are listening will hear it, and they'll do something a little bit outside the box to find something different for themselves, or a better job, or just something that will get them excited to get out of bed and go to work every day.
Definitely.
So thank you so much. Yeah, let's remind people again, if you would like to get Jasmine's magazine. And is there any other way to connect with you besides your magazine? I mean, can they contact you in other ways, or is that the best way to get you is through your magazine?
Yeah, that's the best way. If you want to contact me because we do have interns and we do have a staff of writers as well, if you're interested in participating in it, you can email me at jasmine.watts@missmillenniamag.com.
And it's MISSMILLMAG.com. So go check her out, sign up for her magazine. You will not be disappointed, I can tell you, because I am a subscriber as well. So thanks again, Jasmine, and I will look forward to speaking with you again soon off the air.
You as well, Z. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.